Welcome back to Preparing for the Unexpected. Today we are talking with Harsha Sastry about ESG and resilience. Harsha, great first segment there, talking about environment. Now let's jump to the next pillar, the S, societal. What is that?
Okay, from a societal perspective, I'll just re-question that to say as much as it's societal, but it is about stakeholders. It's about everybody who's a stakeholder. It's not just remaining to people around you or your family around you or your neighborhood around you, but it's society to the whole. How are ESG aspects, ESG principles engaging and enabling society to be conscious about environment, about behavioral patterns, and about the livelihood of themselves. From an organization point of view, it is something to do with their training. It is something to do with employee satisfaction. It is something to do with employee talent management, employee growth, and management of people all across the place. So it's also having aspects of inclusiveness, diversity, and bringing in a union of all those aspects to make it look one rather than have it in different pockets everywhere. So basically, society, as you see it, it surrounds all these aspects.
So let's look at some of the examples that fall under and have a little bit of a deeper dive. The first example listed in the chart that you provided me that was interest was employee training and development. Can you explain how that
Absolutely.
contributes to societal here?
Yeah. Okay. When you're looking at societal, it's called societal because employees are also a part of society. And as an organization, you are a part of the society. So, though they are employed with you, they are a part of society. And because they are having an employment contract with you, it is an important aspect to look at their development, to look at their skill enhancement, and at the same time to look at their talent growth. So, organizations have to ensure that people rise within the organization. You don't want to have an organization where people are joining, getting some work experience and moving out. Rolling stone gathers no moss. So basically, people may start rolling out and they may get better opportunities because they may get more stable organizations. But you as an organization will be seen as a rolling stock because you're not able to have the employee life rise within the organization. And what could be the reasons? The basic reason could be people are not finding more opportunities to learn. People are not finding more ways of rising up the ladder. People are not able to contribute in the areas of interest. As an organization, you may be very restrictive and narrow in your product line. There may be lesser opportunities for innovation. So, unless and until the people managers in the hierarchy are not trained, are not made to see things in an open mindedness, it would be difficult to have teams below them start looking up and start looking out like parachutes to actually navigate and find out how to recover and restore and how to fly high.
Mhm.
So, the only way you can do that is not by restricting. For example, I'll just give a very simple example. Team bonding exercise. A team bonding exercise. The only example I can give you is a business continuity test. Everybody says we are testing. Everybody says everything is perfect. There is nothing we are absolutely right and nothing has failed. So if nothing has failed, how can you say that the test is a success? A test has to have some failures. Otherwise, there's no person in the world who can write a perfect plan, right? A plan is a plan is a plan, and a plan is expected to fail because it has not considered all the perspectives and all the attributes of an event or a scenario or a disruption. How can testing, which is one of the business initiatives and the board's initiatives also for continuity, sustenance, and everything that we are talking right now, without a teamwork to enable testing. So that's what I just want to say as to how resilience, exercising capabilities, and people get together for bringing in the change.
Yeah, tests can really get people thinking and new ideas on the table. Hey, that didn't work, but let's try this and that. And you get people going back and forth, interacting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's look
That's
at
the mode of training.
yeah. Well, let's look at another example under societal there and access to communication. I thought that was an interesting one.
Yes, access to communication, I would say there's a lot of investment which organizations can contribute and can diversify. Community is spread across in highly populated areas, in cities, in mega towns, in small villages, small towns. Now, when you want to give access to communication about a disaster, about a natural calamity, about climate change, and we have a target of 2030 that we are all galloping towards climate change, attend. So how can this get an ESG perspective? Bulletin boards have have various electronic boards running on solar energy across various localities. Publish small awareness tips. So it gives rise to multiple industries. You have industry to make those boards. You have an industry to write local language notifications. You have CSR in the form of giving space for hosting those boards for society. You have better awareness of early warnings. You are able to ensure that people are much more aware that they have to evacuate and move on because there's going to be a disruption which is coming up rather than you know waste fuel and start announcing to everybody around the locality from the council side saying there's a storm coming and so please evacuate. You're wasting fuel, you're wasting energy, but you never know whether the message is reaching or no. And it just once in a moment that you're reaching that message. But with a board put up where the sun gives the shining light, you don't have to waste any resources. You're just investing in bringing out those messages, integrating education, training, awareness, and society together. So this is just an idea that I'm just throwing open here so that I look forward for people to invest and start building up this awareness model also.
Yeah, and then they can contribute, like we said earlier, they can contribute back to the organization and bring in new
Yes.
ideas because they're more aware of what's going on.
More than the organization, contribute back to the society, contribute back to the country, contribute back to the world, contribute back to the initiative of 2030 of knowing early warnings
Hmm.
to all. That's one of the initiative of DRR. So disaster risk reduction, which UN is running.
The,
So this is
the,
how it needs to get implemented.
the third example that I'd like to touch on is one that we're hearing a lot of right now, everywhere, supply chain.
Yes, absolutely. The supply chain. It's the biggest uh, element which has been ignored. It it requires resilience should have taken supply chain to be the most first priority rather than we took our own organizations to make them strong. But organizations can only be strong if your supply chain, not only externally, but your supply chain internally is also more resilient than yourself. On a day of a crisis, it's not about your external supplier supplying to you. It's about the resilience of your internal supplier and function, knowing that I need to have a higher reorder quantity stocked with me for these components because my supplies come from a far off place. So it is a reverse engineering and a forward engineering. That is the first factor which has probably not been considered. In the process of reducing inventories and inventory carrying cost, we have forgotten about external suppliers' capabilities and their deliveries to us. Transportation from external suppliers to in-house needs is also dependent on multiple agencies. Like you need a transporter, you need a truck, you need a fuel, you need the time for travel, you need so many things that happen that go wrong or right on the road, in the sea, in the air. So many things can happen. And finally, you will say that I was expecting it today night, but I got it only day after tomorrow. And hence, my RTO is not working. I've dropped my RTO. I've failed. I had to pay so many X number of dollars for penalty. It's basically because the dependency has not been really, really earmarked and anchored to the base. So there are various options that organizations have to think of: localizing many supplies, as much as depending on far off external agencies when it is absolutely, a unique product. So that's what I like to say.
Okay. On that note, we've come to the end of our second segment. We're talking with Harsha Sastry today about ESG and resilience, and we will be right back. If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.